Everybody is freaking out because the SmackDown number came out from Friday, and even though it was on FS1, yes, it did less than 1 million viewers. If you're not up to date, it did 880,000 or something like that, and now it's doom and gloom, the WWE is over, we may as well give it some kind of funeral. Luckily, because we are fans, while it's fun to talk about that stuff, we don't have to worry about it, and instead we can worry about the latest edition of Monday Night Raw, which is done, it's in the books, and my word was the end of that thing just it was so strange, when it was closing you actually heard a fan shout out, "This is really weird." Yes, it was Random Fan. Yes, it was Finger of Power, Simon Miller, WhatCulture Wrestling. Let's up those Raw Downs. What is so confusing, is it not? This week, Paige just magically came back to Monday nights and she's back managing the Kabuki Warriors, even though that makes absolutely no sense because we're meant to hate Asuka and Kairi Sane, but we quite like Paige because we know that she's been through a lot. If nothing else, as we've talked about before, these three together just do not work at all. It was like we just did it because we had something to do. So all of this sucks, is what I would be saying if WWE then didn't play a very interesting and a very out of nowhere curveball. Good stuff, World Wrestling Entertainment. You could have it up. Because this was really smart. Kairi Sane and Asuka kept grabbing the microphone away from Paige, and at one moment, Asuka just looked at her and spat green mist right in her face. Now, because this wasn't a match and it was just an interview segment, Paige was only mildly annoyed by this, because as you know, when you're fighting someone, you spit the green mist in their face, they're actually in pain, but don't worry about that. If WWE were looking at ways to get the pirate and the green mist spitting crazy person booed, they found a way, because this actually worked. So whether it's right or wrong that the Kabuki Warriors are bad guys, I'm not going to worry about, because this was a fun little skit. And hey, if something works, I'm going to stand here and I'm going to say it worked. It was really, really fun. And we then moved on to Becky Lynch versus Kairi Sane, and I was alright with that too. Give it an up. It was certainly an improvement of last week when WWE just forgot they had women on Monday nights, and this was a very decent back and forth between some of the best wrestlers that WWE has to offer. Now, I can understand why some people would be a bit confused by this. Why have we put Kairi and Asuka in a tag team if now they're just going to have like singles programs with Becky Lynch? Because the commentators kept telling us, oh, don't forget that Asuka beat Becky Lynch back at the Royal Rumble, so probably they'll fight next week on Raw or something. But hey ho, who even cares? We already know that if you do become women's tag team champions, it's like an albatross around your neck. So maybe it's best we just pretend that didn't happen. The finish came when Lynch locked on the disarmer and the pirate had to tap out. And during all of this, I had dreams thinking, oh, imagine we had a proper program between Kairi Sane and Becky Lynch where they were just pushed as single stars. It's nice to dream, and to be fair, it was nice to watch this. It was a good wrestling match. And I wanted to like what was next. Truly, I did. I think R-Truth is a hero among men, but sheesh, it just wasn't. Down. It started with an R-Truth promo who was more worried about the sings than Buddy Murphy, who was his opponent on this evening, and the Australian got in his face and said, listen mate, you should stop doing that, you should be more focused on me, because I'm about to kick your ass. R-Truth was in like, what the hell is up with your Australian accent, and the match began. See, the problem here was that this wasn't the focus at all, and instead it was all about the 24/7 madness, because as you probably already figured out, the Singh brothers ran down and they started to circle the ring. And while it was quite funny that R-Truth got caught up in that, and he too started to run around, eventually he got back into the squared circle, he got kneed by Buddy Murphy, and Murphy got the victory. But if the idea of this is to try and push Buddy as like, you know, an up-and-coming star and somebody we should keep an eye on, well, this was not the way to do it, because, you know, clearly the 24/7 stuff took precedence. He felt like background fodder, which is crazy, especially because 7 days ago he had his own video. When someone's got his own video, I expect him to have a fight the following week and just kick somebody's ass. Another good promo with the AOP. They are now starting to talk more English, because why the hell not? When they re-debut, I hope they just destroy some morons and then probably go on to feud with the Viking Raiders, which I'll talk about in 1 second. Street Profits also came out to cut a promo, and their big thing here is that they really want the crowd to shout, we want the smoke, and to be fair, they did get them doing it. I think, you know, a few weeks and a few months down the line, fans will respond to them bigger, but this was still fine. they're gonna take over the tag team division. It was then the rematch between Ricochet and Drew McIntyre, and if you did expect this to get it down, I could understand where you're coming from, but sometimes things are just so, good to watch, you have to go the other way, getting up. Why? Because it was just a lot of fun. I mean, not only did we have Hogan and Flair in their respective corners, but Ricochet actually showed some fire because during Drew McIntyre's entrance, he just attacked him and started punching him in the face. I mean, it didn't really help that Drew then proceeded to just kick Rick's ass for basically the whole thing, but what you gonna do? And the reason I say those words is because a particular highlight here was when McIntyre, the Scottish psychopath, got in Hulk Hogan's face, and the crowd actually reacted to that. I think they totally believed that McIntyre was going to kick Hogan right in his nose. On the other side of that, Ricochet was able to get some offense in, and as always, he looked awesome, and I just can't understand why WWE doesn't keep it simple with our man Rick. He's such a good high flyer, and he does things that other people can't do. He is a bit like a real-life video game, not 2K20, because we all know what's going on with that. But instead we just making him such convoluted scenarios. Baffling. The finish as well got me, even if it was a bunch of nonsense, because we went almost 20 minutes here, and then Randy Orton appeared from nowhere, as he is wont to do, and he RKO'd Ricochet, which meant this basically finished in a disqualification. Now, usually I would be ranting and raving, but I'm just going to tell it like it is. The RKO was so good. I mean, Ricochet landed right on his skull. I reacted. I cheered. It was really well done. Go and YouTube this if you haven't already. You will see it and you will go blah, 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 which is the noise that people make when Randy Orton does really good RKOs. On a slight tangent though, I need to ask again why the commentators feel so obliged to tell us over and over and over and over again that Ricochet is a real-life superhero. He's not a real-life superhero because real-life superheroes don't exist. And I get it, I understand the counterpoint. Yes, Simon. But they're saying that for children. Children are not stupid. They can just watch Ricochet and go, wow, he's so cool, he does all these amazing moves. You don't need to pander to kids. They get it, they understand. It's like if the camera panned to the three announcers during a Ricochet match, you see someone there with a gun to their head, and beforehand he told them, if you don't mention that Ricochet is a superhero at least 72,000 times, I will pull this trigger and you better not test me. Infuriating down. Calming down though, I do like that WWE is going all in with Humberto Carrillo. If you are going to call him up, I'd rather he was featured than just vanish into the abyss. So here he was approached by AJ Styles, and AJ was all like, oh man, it was so good that you debuted against Seth Rollins last week, but really if you want to prove yourself, you took on the wrong champion. Take on me, the US title holder, and we can see what you've got. He agreed, and we're getting it later. I'm a bit lost when it comes to the Viking Raiders though. Down. These guys are great, there are no two ways about that, but once again, all we had them do here was be in a squash match, and why do our tag team champions need to be in a squash match? Now obviously this was non-title, why can't we do a promo or an interview or some kind of interesting video that lets us know more about Eric and Ivar, other than, look, we've got a really good finisher, it's called the Viking Experience, and we're going to walk out, we're going to have a 2-minute, like I say, squash, and then we're going to go home and I guess pillage a town, because that's what Vikings do. I mean, they were fighting Rizzo and Bryant here that sounded like they just come off the set of Sesame Street, and it just makes me feel like WWE doesn't have a plan for the Viking Raiders at the moment. Again, as I said earlier, I think the AOP are going to turn up and we're going to get that feud and it's absolutely going to kick ass. But until then, can we please do something that's a little bit more interesting? I know, pulling at straws, being a bit of a wrestling nerd. What the hell is a straw? Straws. Being a bit of a wrestling nerd, but that's just how I felt when I watched it. I was like, I've seen this, I don't need to see it again. And that's exactly how I felt when I saw Andrade versus Sin Cara. These two are two talented cats, but down. The spin here is that Sin Cara needed something to ensure that Zelina Vega didn't get involved, and he's found that in the form of Catalina, who is a woman that also wears a Sin Cara type mask. Unfortunately for Sin Cara, he proved that he was an absolute moron, because when Catalina was taking out Zelina Vega on the outside, the man with no face, Mr. No Face, was standing there going, woohoo, hey, I can't believe it, my plan has worked. So Andrade, who watches the product and understands what to do, performed the most devastating move in all of WWE. He hit him with a surprise roll-up, he put his feet on the ropes, and he got the win. So now it's Sin Cara 0 and Andrade 2, and at least one of those victories is because Sin Cara is a moron. This didn't help Sin Cara at all, and it made him look like a dope. Also, we just push Andrade to the moon now. I really like Mr. Tranquilo. The strangers then kept on coming because Charlotte Flair was teaming up with Natalya to take on the Iconics. When did Charlotte Flair and Natalya kiss and make up? Like, Did I just miss that? It's another one of those scenarios where WWE just goes, they won't remember. Don't worry about it. You can forget all of that. But we do remember, we're massive geeks. If nothing else, why is Charlotte now happy to be in a tag team when for her whole career, basically, she's been obsessed with winning championships? I understand now. The new team won as well when Natalya made Billie Kay tap out with a sharpshooter. They then hugged, and I sat there feeling like an absolute goon. I swear, if one of these doesn't turn on the other before November, I am going to go on Twitter. And I would understand at this point if you were feeling a bit miffed by WWE, but don't worry, I have this for you. Hello, WWE viewer. My name is Simon Miller, and I am here today with a very special message for you. Are you confused as to why Charlotte Flair and Natalya just teamed up? Are you confused as to why the Iconics returned to television with no explanation? Are you confused that Braun Strowman wasn't on Raw at all, despite being a pivotal point of a major storyline? And are you confused that the Kabuki Warriors turned heel and never gave you a reason? Please don't be a silly sausage and expect WWE to give you a story, and when you find yourself questioning and tossing and turning at night because you can't sleep, just say a few simple words to yourself: stuff just happens. I understand that this will take a while for you to get your head around, and that's why you can ring me at 0800 Stuff Just Happens to talk, and I will try and get you through this very difficult point. Just remember, as always, if you ever think you're watching WWE for a narrative-driven episodic television show, you're not. You watch it because it's perplexing and because stuff just happens. I also think we're at the point now where Seth Rollins just needs to stop doing promos. As soon as the audience saw him on screen, they started to boo, and just think of that. Our top babyface, our Universal Champion, and all it takes is a visual sighting and fans will jeer him away. Also, he did this. Hello, my name is Simon Miller, and welcome to another episode of Nobody Talks Like That, officially sponsored by Seth Rollins. Seth, I have all the love in the world for you, and I'm desperately hoping that you're going to turn this ship around, but that's not going to happen when you say, jibber jabber, crown jewel is the biggest challenge of my career. Bray Wyatt is going to take things to a whole new level. Want to know why? Because I took things to another level when I burned down the Firefly Funhouse. I'm not stupid. It's debatable. I didn't think that thing was going to be gone forever. It's been reborn, and that makes the Fiend more dangerous than ever. So what I did at Hell in the Cell is gonna be nothing, because the only way to end the Fiend is to beat the Fiend, keep my title, and enter generic catchphrase here. Seth, about 95% of that was just a bunch of sentences that you put together, and luckily it formed a paragraph which you said on a television show that goes out to millions of people. I also have no clue why Bray Wyatt rebuilding the Firefly Funhouse makes him more dangerous. He literally just hangs out with puppets, but nobody talks like that. This did lead to Rollins versus Erick Rowan though, which is another match you can throw in the where the hell did that come from pipe, but it was a lot of fun to watch. They brawled around the place, and at one point Rowan was choke slamming Seth Rollins through a table, and he got his revenge later on by curb stopping Eric onto some wood as well, and at one point the recyclable one even got some stairs and chucked them into Seth Rollins' face, and it honestly looked like his face was about to explode. We weren't even able to get to the end of this though without some bizarreness, because Seth was like, man, this guy's a tough dude, what am I gonna do? So he got a ladder, he put Rowan on the ladder, and he curb stomped his skull into that thing. He easily could have pinned him, because no falls count anywhere, but instead, he must have been watching the halftime heat match between The Rock and Mankind, which was like, what, 1999? He pushed Erick Rowan under a forklift. He then bullied the forklift driver to get in the thing, and he lowered a crate onto Rowan, and he got the pin that way. So in my world, Seth didn't actually win this properly, and Erick Rowan should now get a title shot. Why can't Seth's big move, especially when it's done onto a piece of metal, be enough to take down somebody like Erick Rowan? I can't answer that question, and I really would appreciate it if somebody would. WWE don't half make some weird decisions, and we also got the line from Dio Madden that he doesn't think he's ever seen anybody kick out from a forklift. I mean, nobody talks like that, Dio, but to be fair, you shouldn't have even been put in a situation where you have to say that sentence. I can guarantee that you are the first person in billions of years to ever say those words in that order. Madness. Aleister Black was then promising to kick somebody's ass, and yes, he's still doing this from his little room. Kind of feels like this is another situation where WWE doesn't really know where he's going, but at least he's on TV. AJ Styles versus Humberto Carrillo was great though. It was time for just some good old-fashioned wrestling action. The pair went at 100 miles an hour, and the best bit of the whole thing was when AJ Styles went for the phenomenal forearm, but Humberto cut him off, and then he hit that incredible moonsault that he does. I mean, he didn't get all of it, as the commentators let us know, but it was such a good near fall, the fans came alive and reacted like he was going to win. Humberto did go to the well too many times though, because when he went to perform another aerial maneuver, AJ just cut him off, and as soon as he saw that he'd hurt his leg, he jumped on him and he gave him the calf crusher, and very nicely Carrillo tapped out straight away. More of that, I say. And I know, some people are saying, why even put Humberto in these matches if he is just going to taste defeat? But there is a way to lose and kind of make yourself feel more over in the process, and I think we've done that 2 weeks in a row now. Styles pretended he was going to shake Carrillo's hand and then moved it away, so in response, Humberto just smacked him right in the face, which I also like because it makes him look like a badass, and just as the OC was about to beat him up, the Street Profits came out to make the save, which is also good because we actually have a babyface here that has some friends who will watch his back. I mean, how many times do you see someone getting beaten down and nobody from the back even cares? So all around that worked very well, and I'm genuinely interested and excited to see what Humberto Carrillo is gonna do next week. Who'd have thunk it? We did finish Raw this week though with the Divorce Court featuring Rusev and Lana. That's right, down. Now I will say something positive about this. In the past, WWE has used these situations to take good guys and absolutely run them into the ground, but we didn't do that with Rusev here. But that doesn't mean this wasn't like watching a car wreck, and the whole time you're going, I don't know why I'm watching this car wreck, but I am, and I guess I'll just keep going because I'm here already. Anyways, Jerry Lawler was in charge here, and as it turns out, Lana's big problem with Rusev is that he just wanted to have sex all the time. He wanted to have sex on Raw, he wanted to have sex with the doctors, he wanted to have sex at WrestleMania. So her big plan was to leave her husband and go and have sex with somebody else. So that just makes all the sense in the world. Basically, his bang drive was too much for her, but then she changed her story to say, oh no, actually, it's because Rusev wanted to have children with me, and I'm not ready to have children. And as Ruru rightfully said, well, I would like to do that because I love you and you're my wife, but you're certainly under no pressure to do so. They are two wildly different things, but then Lana introduced a third where she said, oh no, actually, the reason I've done all of this is because Bobby Lashley told me you were having an affair. Rusev went crazy and even said, I don't know if I'm allowed to say, we're about to find out, which the fans love because the word somehow gets a pop. And the ravishing Russian, even though she's not Russian anymore, also had the best line in WWE history where she said, well, of course I believe Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley always tells the truth. So if you didn't know, that's his new gimmick, Bobby Lashley, truth teller. Lashley then came out and thankfully Rusev just absolutely kicked his ass. Like imagine he'd had that kind of verbal destruction and wasn't able to at least win in a fight. He even took off his wedding band, his wedding ring, and he stuck it in Bobby's mouth. And all of this actually was quite good, but that doesn't mean overall it was. It wasn't. That was just like one good spot in a segment which is gonna burn my eyes for the rest of my life. Lana then hit her man with a kendo stick, which he just ignored, which is also very good, but eventually it's a bit like a fly, just like flapping around, and he got sick of it, and that allowed Bobby Lashley to hit him in the balls. He then hit him in the balls again, and because it's October 2019 and we're watching WWE, Raw went off air with Bobby Lashley and Lana kissing. And I don't know about you, but that is 100% why I tune into pro wrestling these days. I just want to see two people kiss. If you don't know I'm being sarcastic, it was really, really, really awkward. Raw then went off air and I was left absolutely perplexed. I mean, none of these shows are bad. It's not like I watch them and go, this is terrible television, but hardly any of it makes any sense. We do get some good wrestling, but once the credits roll and you're like, why would I tune into this next week unless you're really interested to see how Rusev's testicles are? I don't even know. There's my arrow. It's neither an up or down. We're not going to stick it in the middle because that's like a cop-out. We'll give it a down. I don't want to give it a down. Like I was entertained, but I don't think I was entertained in the right way. I think I was more entertained because I knew I get to come on here and wave my arms around like an absolute crazy person. What is going on? Now, don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know what you thought about last night's episode of Raw. And my word, do I want to know. Like, share, and subscribe. head over to WhatCulture.com and read yourself some articles. Follow WhatCulture on Twitter at WhatCulture WWE. Watch more videos here on WhatCulture Wrestling. My name is Simon from WhatCulture. Thank you as always for joining me. I really do appreciate it. And I will see you a lot this week because not only do we have our usual schedule of ups and downs, Crown Jewel just pops up on Thursday. So I guess we'll do that too. I'll see you when I see you.